Welcome to a late night. It's 911 p.m. EST Montreal. I'm gonna turn my head left and right before I cross the street, and that's the moon. It's getting full. That is the moon. Kisses from the goddess of the moon. I see it, and we're heading all the way to the mountain at the top, and there's gonna be an eclipse, a rare celestial event, which is not gonna occur until 2029, so almost 5 years from now, almost 5 years from now, because from what I believe it said 2029, but November 11th, that's gonna be the next one or something like that, Scorpio season, whatever the case may be, or October 11th, gotta double check, but nonetheless, that means that in almost 5 years from now, that is what it's gonna be, and that is what is gonna rock and roll with that today. And that's what we are. Going to the mountain from the West Mount. Already in the march, more than 93 minutes. Got the red backpack on my back, and you can see it goes down steep. So we're at the midpoint of the mountain, and you see that way it still goes up. So we are in West Mount, which is one of the three peaked mountain system. Of course, Mount Royal has 3 peaks, and we're going to my second home, Belvedere, Conjure and Acte, the Belvedere, top of the mountain. My second home, my mistress, and where I will to be buried. A third of me up in the back of the Belvedere, Conjure and Acte. A third of me in New Jersey, Hampton, New Jersey, with Papa Crowley, and a third of me up in the city of the pyramids. Yours truly, a Dragon versus Trump special event. Have been him and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since 2018. And in the backpack, I got those red, my favorite color gloves, which were gifted by my eye, by my anonymous friend. Our eye's fine now. By my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, about almost more than 6 years ago. See how it goes down? So now we're at the midpoint of the mountain, and there it still goes up. And that's the moon. So gifted me great red, my favorite color gloves, and I put them to good use. I exercised, did a lot of workouts in them, and will continue to do in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead as I have in them, and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. And my will to build, let's build together, Canadians and my brothers and sisters in the USA. As this Quebecer Canadian was born 3 times in previous incarnations in the USA post 7076. Just read George Patton's 3 Glass Darkly. Twice was born as a man, once as a woman. You get that 50-50 now, and rock and roll, for the bakers, butchers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, warehouse workers, the plumbers, the electricians, those flipping some burgers in the fast food joints, firefighters, LOVE, train conductors, carpenters and welders, and all the collective North American civilizational complex workers. And this Quebecer Canadian served in the United States Armed Forces in previous incarnations, served in 2 different wars, same U.S. Army, so we gotta get that fusion together. See how it goes there? It goes steep down, steep down, and there it goes up. So it goes down, and there it still goes up. So now we're basically going up on the ascension side. So now we're going up the mountain. This is a 1 peak mountain there. The 1 peak mountain. There's 3 peaks, and this is one of the peaks called West Mount proper, and the other one is Mount Royal, of course, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get rock and rolling, Aspie Aristotle, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, who's financially stressed at the moment, but paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, paid my phone, and I got some chips in the backpack. Red backpack auctioning it for $1 million. Gonna give half 50% to my anonymous friend, and got chips. I got them all special, so that's gonna be my post midnight celebration, because I'm clocking in more than 4 hours today, because I got an average of 4 hours minimum per day, so I got an average a minimum of 20 hours from Monday to Friday. So I'm on my way, because yesterday I did more than 4. The other day, Tuesday, I did more than 5, and Monday I did more than 4. So today we're aiming to do a little bit more than 4 as well, and tomorrow probably more than 6 or even close to 7 tomorrow before the Sabbath Friday. So Dragon versus Trump, moon's getting full, a celestial event coming between 11:57 p.m. so late, and 3 a.m. so the moon is gonna get bloody and it's gonna be an eclipse, and the full moon begins at around 2:44 a.m. EST, Montreal, 2:44 a.m. The apex of the full moon occurs, and for me it's a 3-day celebration, so it's gonna be until Saturday, Sunday, until Friday, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, so Monday morning until Monday morning. In the early hours is a 3-day feast. You know that 93 being a Telemite want to be Telemite, a mystic. Who says the goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S, says the song of the goddess, some of the song, because she's got trillions of songs. And you know, I'm a woman in a man's body. Sometimes I'm a woman in a man's body. A woman in a man's body. Rainbow Dragon rock and roll. Dragon's fists are gonna make Trumpo's nose grow like Pinocchio. I don't know about that 51st state, but I do believe in the fusion, and getting rid of the border and creating a common passport, common currency based on my DRT, debt fusion theory, and a common for defense, security, and service force, the Dragon Army Initiative. And I'm gonna do some in the future next week. Probably gonna do some potential fictitious Dragon Army drills, 51st state Dragon Army drills, Army of the 51st state for defense, security, and service, calling for a few billions, a few hundreds of billions for the mass financing public-private partnership, and let's build together on the Canadian-US border the North American people's Imperial Coliseum, a massive structure, 11 times more bigger than the, you know, where the Super Bowl, Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, Hardball Ball, aka the Blackout Ball, also known as the Hardball Ball, where my 49ers lost. 11 times bigger than the stadium where that game was played in that Super Bowl, and got to double check where it was played. But on the Canadian-US border, let's build for Sportus in Perpetuitas, for Sportus in Perpetuitas, to having 24/7 sports and fitness events 24/7 on the Canadian-US border by building that massive collective Canada, United States joints Coliseum. And I credit some kisses, some hugs, some massages, some feet washing to the construction workers, because they're gonna go on those cranes with that steel and the metal and build it up, you know. Salutation to the construction workers. But for sports and fitness 24/7, let's build together that massive Coliseum. And the first event is gonna be Dragon versus Trump. The first event where me and Donald Trump are gonna tango a little bit, some rounds, you know. 3-minute rounds, I guess. We can go for a few rounds, 12 maximum. That's 12 times 3, that's 36 minutes, you know, or whatever the case may be. So gotta begin again with my gratitude, grateful, thankful. My rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, paid my cell phone bill, got some food, got some chips in the backpack, got some chips, $2 Canadian chips in the backpack. And at home I still have some leftover from last night, a little bit of that chocolate sweets. I bought it on special. They were not that great, but I can't complain, you know. They were good enough for the price. It was something that I'm probably not going to buy again. Stick to my wafers, you know. Anyways, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, working out, training, exercising. Has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. It's a Dragon special marching workout dance special, Dragon versus Trump, and celebrating 5 years ago, between February 7th, 2020 and March 26th, 27th. End of March, I had COVID 2020 between beginning of February and March, something like that. Exact dates I'm not sure because I didn't mark it. I must have marked it somewhere. I think I did, but I wrote it. But gotta double check the precise dates. But I was sick for a few weeks. About a few days, it was really intense, and it was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. You know, it was like death, pestilence, and disease. When I say it was like death, pestilence, and disease, like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like it. Hardcore death trash metal type of rock and roll song, which is a death trash type of style of metal, hardcore rock and roll. But that's how, of course, I felt like, and that's how I felt like, and that's where I'm being reborn now. As I say, I died during COVID, and can't believe it's been 5 years, between February 7, 2020 and March 24th, 2020. That's what it is with that. So that's what we gotta get doing for that. Of course, being that grateful for that event in my life, completely changed my whole life. As have been, of course, before that was also cross Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean in 2017. Between July and August and September. August went to British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, and of course September 2017 went all the way to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And that event, before that event, I was depressed, I was suicidal, and that event made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And that's when I rock and roll came out of being depressed and suicidal, crossing the prairies and meeting fellow Canadians and other people along the way, and colorful people on the bus. And 3.5-day bus ride from Montreal, switched several times the buses, switched to several locations throughout, going all the way west, thousands of kilometers from Montreal to Vancouver, you know. So that was an event. 3.5 days it took by bus, so that was a hell of an event. And I reached Banff. I remember Banff was like, the mountains were so big and majestic and, you know, stupendous. So I said, wow, I had like an awakening. And that in Vancouver, I would spend a few days, and that was a great weekend. And that was some rock and roll, LOVE, and had some great experience. And that made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, completely turned my life around. And I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, you know, Quebecers, Canadians, my brothers and sisters in the USA. They're our family. Pledge your allegiance. Allegiance has been the song for the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, my dream. But to support it, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex, as a philosopher, Quebecer, Canadian, North American. But we're going to fuse basically the North, Canada, true North, strong and free, with the South, home of the brave and the land of the free. But we're going to put that LOV in it. We're going to put that LOV in it. We're going to put that LOV in it. That LOV. Gotta have some love with that, you know. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the money, but take some of that good loving, you know. And I know somebody making some love. It's not all about the money, not all about Wall Street. And on my way, I saw people holding hands and giving a little bit of hug. And my main message is hug with consent, like you never hugged before, with consent. Hug HUG like you never hugged before. A whole period of hockey is 20 minutes, or if you like gridiron football, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Give a choice to you. If you prefer hockey, do the 20 minutes. If you prefer gridiron, do the 15 minutes of good hugging. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. I love to dance, you know. So that's my numero uno, but number one. But I also love, of course, sports and fitness of all genre. And, you know, I love that dancing on number one. For me, my favorite sport is dancing, but I love boxing. I love North American football, hockey, basketball, and volleyball, and sports and fitness generally. But primarily my thing is dancing. And then I guess I could say dancing, boxing, or dancing, North American football, and boxing. But dancing is number one. And then the other ones come, you know, hockey. Hockey's top 5, of course. I love hockey. And I wish I could afford enough to get a professional women's hockey league jersey, Montreal Victoire, you know. And of course, yours truly, I would love to get that money to get. That would be a jersey which I will wear, you know, the Montreal. As I am marching here now, gotta give some shout out for the Montreal Victoire and the newly established PVHL, and I'm calling for the establishment of the North American Integrated Dance League. See how it goes down. It goes down, and then it goes up. It goes up, and it goes down, and it goes up, and it goes down. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on that love, you know. So I'm joyous now, happy, content. I was a bit moody, but now I feel much better. I'm already about an hour and a half in my march, so I already feel much better. I was a bit moody, I guess, due to the events, the escalating trade war. And of course, you got to know that I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and have Asperger's, HFA, high-functioning autistic, which is not a mental illness. It is just a neurological mental divergent condition which makes me predisposed to obsessive interest, aka special interest. I prefer using the terminology special interest rather than obsessive, because there's a negative connotation to utilizing obsessive as a terminology for the when applied to people with Asperger's, also known as HFA, who are neurodivergent, you know, like myself, part of this minority of less than 1%, less than 0.5%, approximately 0.44% of the human population have Asperger's, you know, approximately 0.44% have Asperger's of the human population. And here I am now in Westmount. Just to get that from my anonymous friend right there. From my anonymous friend right there. 514-933-9998, 514-933-9991. 514-933-9998. So get a house for my anonymous friend. Let's go Oprah, Celine Dion, and Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Lady Gaga. I love that abracadabra, 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 but my anonymous friend deserves to be 7 times richer. L.O.V. Write some rock and roll songs, L.O.V. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the farmers, the firefighters, and gotta wait here when you cross the streets, gotta wait here, turn my head left and right, you know. See, it goes up, 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 and there it goes down, 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 steep. Sometimes we're over there, and we point up here towards the mountain. In my past videos, of which this is my work, as a YouTuber, philosopher, artist, independent athlete, independent geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, and mystic. Looking at that full moon, singing some of that good rock and roll. I love rock and roll. My holy trinity of special interest includes rock and roll, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity. Dance, dance, dance. D-N-C-E, like a verb that you see. And of course, dancing and geopolitics, being an independent geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist who has predicted what's happening now. Of course, I predicted it. I got proof of work back in 2019 in October, November. This one's for sale. You can give a call again, 514-934-2480, and buy it for my anonymous friend. I guess if I can split 50-50. Although I gotta be grateful where I live now. It's a small place, but it's better than where I used to live. Where I used to live, there were lots of mold. Mold. It was moldy, small. It was like black mold, green mold, reddish mold, and I was sick, suicidal, depressed. I moved out of there, and I got kind of kind of like retrograde amnesia, like loss of memory loss, blackouts of memory. I have flashes of trauma and was surprised attacked a few times in Montreal, and years ago I got plenty of scars, but I guess I lived my own silly empire episode, but I survived, and I don't like violence. I do not like violence. But of course, intensity, Aspies, we can be pretty intense, pretty concentrated, pretty focused, pretty intense, energetic and focused, especially when I'm doing my marches and I'm working out, training, exercising, and I'm meditating on geopolitics. I spend hours and hours and hours a day doing this routines, because Aspies, people, Asperger's like myself, we have these routines, and it's always some more points of difficulty where we have, myself included, for understanding social norms and social proceedings and verbal, sometimes social communication and things of that nature, which can be very tough and difficult for people who live with this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's or HFA, high functioning autism. And just because our brains are different, so we see the world, we're different, we can be labeled as weird, but people with Aspies like myself, we have to be encouraged, supported, and nourished in those special interests, because we can excel in those. And proof of work, I of course have the proof of work that I had predicted what's happening now geopolitically. I had concluded that humanity is set towards an international conflagration back in 2019 in October, November. And in consequence, I created a workout training program system designed and created to go hand in hand with such a scenario, a World War III scenario. So I've been kind of in a World War III mode ever since. There's another one for sale. You can give 514-379-1333, 514-379-1333, 514-379-1333, although the 333 at the end, I prefer 156, That's for an inside joke for my 93 gang. Pledge your allegiance, thou our family. Pledge your allegiance, thou our family, 24/7, the rock and roll song, 24/7. Pledge your allegiance, look at the moon. Gotta say some blessing. I credit my surviving COVID to the goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S, the goddess temple, and I'm just a piece of dust, and the goddess calls me limb dick lit. I said no problem. General cuckold, no problem. Drop down, give me some General Rainbow Dragon cuckold, some push-ups. Go some marching, already marched today more than any general of NATO combined during COVID, and auctioning those boots. black boots for a few billion. They're gonna give half 50% to an anonymous friend and start buying the bricks for the forgotten goddess temple. Not that the goddess needs my temples, because she has her pyramids, which are tombs of temples and tombs of initiation and temples and tombs, the pyramids. So she's got the pyramids and doesn't need my little scar, little clit building her a temple. But nonetheless, across North America on the Canadian-US border, it would be nice to have a temple dedicated to the goddess, forgotten goddess, Goddess, double S, Goddess, forgotten goddess temple, forgotten goddess temple, forgotten goddess temple, forgotten goddess temple, to build it on the Canadian-US border, the forgotten goddess temple. That's what it is, and that's what we gotta get doing for the building there, on the Canadian-US border, and that's what we gotta build, the goddess temple, and parallel the North American People's Imperial Coliseum for sports in perpetuity, and of course for sports in perpetuitas, and of course my pyramid, scarlet, crimson, and scarlet are shades of red, basically my favorite color, to build here on top of the mountain, the pyramid, house of the dragon. Nobody's born a dragon. Me, although financially still have to pay to change my name, because turn that A into a no, officially turn that A into a no, change that A into a no, turn that A into a no, with blood, sweat and tears, turn that A into a no, so that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get on that consecration, so Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance is my call for a public-private partnership, for the creation of the Dragon Army, to create it as I go atop my second home, to be only and solely for security, service and defense, integrated with all existing institutions, organizations, that exist coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go, so that's just something which we gotta be on the must side of things, And one more, the fourth one that I will to build is, of course, the Rainbow People's Palace. The Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community. And here, I wish I could get my anonymous friend a house, and it's where I live now, and I survived COVID back in 2020, and I've been living there for 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years, and just have blackouts, right, triggered amnesia, symptoms of, sometimes the memory comes back, but I don't know what caused memory loss. Maybe COVID, maybe, I don't know, if years and years ago, if I don't do drugs, I like my wafers, I like my sweets, I like my coffee, I like my fitness, I'm an aspie, but maybe, I have flashes of trauma, being bullied and violence and unspeakable deeds committed against me, so here we are, grateful, thankful, the rock and roll song of the little scar-clit dick, androgynous, Saturn, dragon, rainbow dragon is, may I be avenged 11-fold, hope that you get told, may I be avenged 11-fold, hope that you get told, may I be avenged 11-fold, just that you know, so that you've been told, truckers on the road, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and we gotta give a little bit of the airplane conductors, train conductors, the pilots. How many planes in the sky now? NORAD knows, and I guess the all-seeing eye knows, and all-seeing eye, I guess, is not for you, not for me, and I guess it's not for anybody. I guess it's more abstract, I guess, concepts. When we get into those mystic spiritual ideals or spiritual ideas, we gotta get into the LOV as we go to the next level here. Gotta give a little bit of shout out to the public workers who change up the aqueducts. We got massive work to do, changing of the aqueducts, massive work to do, the changing of the aqueducts, massive work to do, and gotta think about that, because civilization is a privilege, and that's what I gotta get doing with that, you know. Civilization is a privilege, so that's what I gotta do. And we gotta give a shout out to Hydro-Quebec, LOV, Hydro-Quebec, something which we gotta be on that go, and that's how we gotta get doing on that. And on my left side is Orion, right there, Orion, that means the top of the mountain is Scorpio, because Scorpio and Orion are parallel, like opposite. From there you can kind of situate other constellations if you're into that stuff. Star lovers, star counters, those for the stars above, and that law 718, 418, 93, 156, 11, 175, 93, and 175, 11, 93, 77. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks celebrating. Big celebration. Celebrating until the end of March. 5 years. 5 years. Since I survived COVID, I really thought that was my last chapter. I got triple vaccinated, 3 vaccines, but I really thought that was it for me. So that's my last chapter. I thought I was gonna die right where I live now. I still live at the same place. I've been living there for a few years. It's better than I used to live, although I just remember moving from a very moldy place. It's a black mold, green mold, and red mold, and was depressed, suicidal, and cross Canada coast to coast. Cross Canada coast to coast, you know, crossed Canada coast to coast, and crossing Canada coast to coast. Crossing Canada coast to coast made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, and fellow Canadians are my family, Quebecers as well, my brothers and sisters in the USA. That event in 2017 really completely changed my life, and I created a neural workout training program system. I started on a fitness journey, and I always say the fitness journey commences today now, and I lost between 80 and 93 pounds, and I keep it around 93 kilos. Look at Orion. So that means that Scorpio is somewhere there. And then you got the Leos. Takes all the astrological signs to dance, send some love, LOV to the bus drivers, public bus drivers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, grocery store clerks, the warehouse workers, all those in the daycares who changed some diapers today. Thursday we clocking in for that Friday. We clocking in for that Friday, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And there's the moon, you know. We gotta get it on that moon, and we gotta get on that dance, and we gotta do on that dance to get it, you know. And sometimes we just gotta be on the LOV side of things, and love is important, you know, as we move forward, and that's how we gotta be. Super important for some love, you know. It's not all about fight. You gotta add some LOV, you gotta add some love, and it's not all about money, you know. Not all about money, it's not all about money, you know. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get it on the XYZ, and we gotta get it for the lovers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the truckers, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food. And if I press this button, it's the other one maybe. Yeah, I think it's the other one, but the sun's gonna change. Anyway, so here we are at the top of the Westmount. Now it comes into well, you can still go up there. So we're on the mountain. Mount Royal has 3 peaks, and right between the east and the west, exactly between the east and the west. So exactly between the east and the west, Mount Royal is exactly between the east and the west, and here we are, you know, between the east and the west. Down Mount Royal. I think I'm gonna get a feeling to go like round about it like that, just round about it, or I could go by here by this side. It depends on which side, you know. Sometimes I feel like going by that side, sometimes by this side, and you can go around about in many ways, and it's a big mountain system. It has 3 peaks. One of it is Mount Royal proper, Outremont, Westmount. The whole complex is right between the east and the west on Montreal, Hawk Island, Montreal, Hawk Island metropolis. 2.5 million people, that's where we are. And in the past life, many past life incarnations, sometimes was born a man, a woman from many a times, a priestess, a warrior, a farmer. Today, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and tourist, and mystic, living with Asperger's and 50-50 androgynous pansexual. About to go to my second home, Mount Royal proper, atop the Belvedere. We're gonna check that moon, that's that moon, and that's what that moon is there, you know, for XYZ, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and gotta give some salutation, you know. And anybody want to finance, I go up and down these stairs 300 times. I go 300 times with LOV, Dragon vs. Trump special rock and roll drills. That's what we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So as we go now, ascend. You can get 300 times. I go up and down and ascend, you know, for the road, and ascend it as I go up. Singing for that rock and roll, for the farmers, firefighters, butchers, truckers on the road now, grocery store clerks, those flipping some burgers, cheeseburgers, hamburgers, you know, all those workers of the North American Collectif. I gotta send some LOV for them as well, you know. It's not all about me, not all about Wall Street, it's not all about fight. Takes a little bit of that LOV, you know, it takes a little bit of that LOV with that, so here we are. Feels good. Now I'm happy, my second home. Second home, the mountain, Belvedere. Conjuring Arc is over there, the chalet, and here we are, my second home. Mistress. The forest on the mountain. See the lights from the city, and just be prudent here because you see there's branches which fall. So you gotta be prudent, gotta be cautious, especially if you go deep in the forest. As we go, you can see part of those, how down, those are big sky rises, buildings, and you see they seem very low, because now we're on the mountain, and the mountain is situated exactly between the east and the west on the metropolis island. Montreal Island is a metropolis, but not exactly between the east and the west. In the north, it's in the east and the west. In the north, it's slightly south. So this is my second home, and I always love to come here. I always love when I see people coming here, and of course there's less and less people as the temperature changes, but some people come to skate and ski, and some people still come, although it's spring and summer is very popular. There's more people. I mean, usually at this time is on a summer day, there's lots of people, but there's still some people will come, I guess, if you're into sports, winter sports, or hiking in winter. I come all seasons, all terrain, all seasons, all terrain, all seasons, all terrain, all seasons. Storms, sometimes storms, thunder, and lightning come here, and I go work out, as you see my past videos, underneath those houses which exist. And yours truly, Dragon vs. Trump. Special event, have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and have been ever since Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Back, of course, in 2018, in March, and ever since that day, of course, have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. Fuse. Get rid of the border. Make a common passport. Make a census. make a census, a great North American collective census. We gotta do a census, see everybody who's been living here since 2020, let's say, February 2020 or summer 2017, basically more than 5 years, or in the past 7 years, and see and assess linguistics, and gotta create a common passport, and a digital ID, common passport. We gotta do common currency and implement my Trinity or TVs. It's a must because we're in an emergency situation, and here we are. Gonna go inside and just be careful if you go in, because you gotta be prudent sometimes, because the branches fall. So now we're in the wilderness, You gotta commute with the darkness, and might be wolves are coming in the dark, So when you're here with the moonlight, moon's getting full, and we gotta get, on just be careful because the branches can fall. I do not advise, if you're not familiar with the mountain, and of course this is my second home, so I know the mountain, but the mountain and the forest still have a relationship, symbiotic relationship. I give my reverence, give my respect, and my love, anyways, my love and adoration to the mountain and the celestial moon, the sun, the stars, and the civilization as well. As you see those lights in the background, those are afar off lights, and this mountain can be seen afar off for hundreds of many kilometers, many, even outside the island, roundabout, Mount Royal proper is just, we got that metropolis, so it's a big city here. It was the most populated city in North America for a few hundred years, maybe, until it became New York and other cities. But even Canada was number one most populated in Canada until about 2010. Then Toronto overtook Montreal. But Montreal was a major for hundreds of years. Was the most populated and the number one center for finance, commerce. So it still is top 10 in North America, when including Mexico, even top 10. I believe 7th or 8th most populated, when including Mexico, is still in the top 10, even with Mexico, although Mexico City. Mexico also have like 3 cities in the top 10, and we have Montreal and Toronto, and the rest, I believe, are 4 or 5 American cities in the United States. So I don't know about that 51st state. It's not the way to invite us. Donald Trump, I don't support. I would have voted Biden or Kamala Harris. I would have voted Biden or Kamala Harris, but now Trump is not my enemy. We're not enemies. I believe the tariffs was a mistake. I believe my theory is the Trinity or theory is best. My dream, which is fundamentally for fusion, where mostly private-public partnership, and creating 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions based on some of my philosophies and others, a little bit of old school, OLD, a little bit of old school with some new school, 21st century. And we got to get on that, doing on the Appalachian, and for where we are now geopolitically and environmentally, with disasters growing and emergency responses needing, with wildfires, fires like you've never seen before, wildfires and storms and tornadoes and big storms in the past 5 years. You see, we got record temperatures and record wildfires in Canada and the United States. So we need that Dragon Army, public-private partnership, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and we need to start building those 44 tunnels. 44 tunnels. The number after 43 before 45 is of course our tunnels, which of course they're tunnels. In case of a thermonuclear, we gotta build 44 tunnels across North America, build them and inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and the underground village of Montreal underground village. We gotta build those tunnels, 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war. That's why we gotta build, for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex. In case of a thermonuclear war, for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex in case of a thermonuclear war, and of course build those 44 tunnels. And Here I feel joyous, a sense of peace, and when I'm here looking at the moon now, just me, the light, civilization, and nature. You see, I'm in nature with rocks, big hard rocks, and hawks, and flora and fauna, and maybe some wolves. I don't know if there's wolves, but foxes, and rabbits, and squirrels, and hawks. There's hawks, H-A-W-K. There's hawks, there's groundhogs, there's beavers, there's a lot of those creatures. And looking at the big buildings, it is, like kind of the illusions dissipate, the illusions dissipate. So now I'm going to discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory, because it came to mind and I have to discuss it. DRT, debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. DRT, debt refusion theory, stands for D, debt, R, refusion, T, theory. My theory is the only solution, or something very similar to my theory is the solution of where we are now, with most of the private and the public financial situation in which we find ourselves in this now. Today is the 13th of March, heading for that rare celestial event, full moon eclipse, full moon, blood moon eclipse, heading for that full moon blood eclipse. And of course for the Canada, United States, pretty much the same similar type of situation where we are now, kind of a very similar parallel situation, myself included. Financially I'm stressed financially, got many jobs which I love during COVID. I had several employments which I really loved, and it only lasted a few weeks and months. And Asperger's, people are Asperger's like myself, there's that problem because there's a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of confounding Asperger's with a mental illness, which is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes you truly predisposed to obsessive interest. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get my DRT theory. So back to the DRT theory, the reason, the motive behind me making the statement that it is the only solution, or something very similar which resembles my DRT, debt refusion theory, but to the fact that last year, 2024, the amount of interest paid on the public debt of Canada, the amount of interest paid on the public debt of Canada, the amount of interest paid on the public debt of Canada, the amount of interest paid on the public debt of Canada was 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion, keep that in mind. 46.5 billion was the interest, only the interest. Debt servicing is the interest. Debt servicing is just a term, financial term to say the interest paid. Now, 46.5 billion, a billion has 9 zeros. That's, do the math, times 9 times 1,000, times 9 with 9 zeros, that's 46.5 billion, add 9 zeros, it's 46,500 million, it's 46,500 million, 46,500 million. The amount is just incredibly big, just the interest though. Only the interest on the public debt. You realize that we are facing a black swan event, tomorrow, full moon, blood moon, rare celestial event will not be an event like this in maybe 4 years and 9 months, or 4 years and 8 months, in almost 5 years from now, in 2029, October, November 2029, that we paid so much interest last year. And in 2020, 2021, the amount was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion times 2 is 40.6 billion. So you realize the amount has more than doubled. The amount more than doubled. The interest only more than doubled in 3 years. Yes, due to COVID, it was like death, pestilence, and disease for me. And I'm marching now with a smile, celebrating my victory over survived COVID, because I thought that was my last chapter in 2020, mid-February till about mid-March. I thought that was it. I said, I'm gone, I'm doing it. This is my last chapter, I'm dying. And I didn't. I got triple vax, 3 vaccines, and I keep in the public hygienic protocols from COVID, because I think some of those habits of public hygiene, because you never know, there's microbes, bacteria, germs, bacteria, microbes, there's germs, bacteria, and microbes, and we don't know what caused COVID. With the revision a few weeks ago, the CIA stated that COVID came most likely from a lab. laboratory. Either a bioweapon, an accident, or an experiment gone wrong. My holy trinity of beliefs on COVID, the origins of COVID, yours truly, my beliefs on the origin of COVID are this. I got the holy trinity. First and foremost, I believe COVID was transmitted from snakes. Snakes to human beings, from snakes to human beings, from snakes to human beings. Second, I don't know for sure. I cannot say for sure. I cannot rule out. Third, I cannot rule out another possibility, although I believe it was snakes. The fourth dimension to that trinity, what I do know 100% is that just before COVID in October, November, I had predicted an international conflagration, a World War III scenario coming in the future. I predicted that in October, November, because I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and jurist, and I do geopolitics on the daily for hours and hours and hours daily. And of course, I had concluded that, and I survived COVID, and I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand. And now, due to the many sufferings, many scars, many trauma, I survived COVID and been depressed, been suicidal, been broke, been rock bottom. Paradoxically, I present on the table the DRT, debt refusion theory, which will save us from financial collapse, because it's a possibility, due to how much interest we paid on the public debt, it's a possibility that a public financial collapse of Canada starts occurring tomorrow, if not Monday. A black swan event is on the horizon. A black swan event is a worst financial case scenario, and it's on the horizon. With the public debt of Canada, 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 with the public debt of Canada is on the horizon, now to occur. The black swan, the public financial collapse. It's, so much interest we paid 2020 last year. It doubled due to COVID. It more than doubled in 3 years. You realize just the financial mathematical principle is that imagine a citizen X, let's say, I have $10,000 in debt to the RBC Royal Bank of Canada. But let's say Citizen X debt servicing, interest paid on credit cards. I don't have credit cards myself, but let's say the interest of someone doubles from more than doubles, like it was just the case with the public finances of Canada, where we paid in 2020, 2021, 20.3 billion in interest, which is still a lot, but it more than doubled in just 3 years. If that happens on an individual basis, a citizen, if the interest paid doubles, the salary also has to double for it to be maintained. Otherwise, one is in trouble. And of course, the GDP of Canada, the economy of Canada, did not double. Far from double. The GDP of Canada far from double, right? It only increased and even went in a negative, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever the case may be. And that's what it is with that. So the fact is that the GDP did not double. It increased only by a few percentage. So justice is the same on an individual case basis. If an individual's interest payments double, let's say from 156 to 333, from 156 to 333, from 156 to 333, from 156 to 333, then if one individual has to cut the spending unless the salary doubles. How many salaries have doubled? I only know the prices having the salaries that double. I don't know many that doubled. I only know of some salaries which increased by a few percentage. Let's say there were many strikes, so some salaries increased by 5%, 10%, 8%, 10%, whatever the case may be. Some salaries did increase. Right? Some salaries did increase, but there's been many in the past 44 months, more than 3.5 years, 44 months, past 45 months during COVID. There has been a big labor movement, but the average salary increased. Average salary increased from 2020 to 2025 in 5 years, 4.4. 4.4 average salary have increased. 4.4 salary in the average. So you imagine that if the salary of somebody doesn't double while the interest doubles, one has to reduce what the individual is going to have to buy. See, there's a black creature there, but it also has white on it, so I think, oh, like a raccoon, see? So, oh my goodness, look at that, it's a raccoon that was going down. See the movement, see the movement, see the movement? It's very black in the blackness. Paradoxically, I see the movement? I see okay in the black, in the darkness. I don't mind the darkness. I don't mind the storms, I don't mind the lightning. I don't mind the dark at all. Same as during the day for me, same as during the day. Although I love the sun, my king, the Pope. I also love the moon and the stars, and the night as well. So that's the fact that it has, of course, one has to cut the spending. One has to reduce the spending. Gonna have to, an individual citizen, if that's what happened to an individual where the amount of interest more than doubles, let's say from 156 to 333, that citizen has to reduce, stop buying booze, stop buying cigarettes, stop smoking. Cannabis is legal here in Canada. Cannabis is legal here in Canada, by the way. Start going out to the movies, start doing whatever, and that's where somebody has to do that. Has to reduce the spending, otherwise goes in bankrupt. So the same with the public finances is the same principle, because our GDP, our gross domestic product, our economy of Canada is far from takes decades to double. The economy of China took like almost 45 years, more than 44 years to double. So there's no way out of this but my DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So I'm going to discuss it now, because there's no way out of this. It's possible that the public collapse of the finances, what are we going to cut in the public? The police, the RCMP, the firefighters, those who pick up the garbage, the compost was just picked up before I left. Thank you. To those who pick up the recycling, to those who pick up the garbage, public sanitation workers. We're going to cut the public sanitation. What are we going to cut? The police. We're going to cut the public healthcare. We have to cut because paying the interest has more than double. Paying 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 the interest has more than double. So there's no other way out of this. No way out of this. But there's my DRT theory. Again, there's no way out of the situation now unless something which resembles my theory. Because the interest payments have more than doubled from 20.3 billion in 2020-2021 to 46.5 to 46.5 in the principium of the mathematics. That's just what it is with that. That's just what it is with that, to get it on the go. So that's what we gotta be doing, and we gotta get doing on that, and on the toes here. The DRT, debt refusion theory. I'm gonna explain it to you. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE is something which we gotta implement. We gotta implement the debt refusion theory for the XYZ, and the debt refusion theory explain we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, That's what we gotta get doing at that. That's what we gotta get doing, the public and the private debt. We gotta get doing on the XYZ with that. So the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. That's what we're gonna get doing. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt on the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that for the XYZ. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it, of course, to the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it, So that's what it is with that. So that's what it is in the world now. We gotta get it on the XYZ. So that's what we're gonna get doing, So I'm gonna get it on the XYZ, and that's what we're gonna get doing,
Where are you going now?
new. Blue sky. Like a big dump. It's joking. It's joking. Tenemos. There you go. Shit. Oh yeah. So the DRT, that refusion theory, that was the top. That refusion theory for the creation of the UE. And we're back in the darkness. So there's no way out of this but my DRT. That refusion theory. That refusion theory. That refusion theory. The dead refusion theory. Dead refusion theory for the creation of the UE. So we're gonna take all the public. There's Orion. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. Again, there's no way out of this. Eh? You can argue all you want. So arguing, but something very similar to my DRT theory is the only solution. As much as you will to argue, there's no way out of this. Listen, tomorrow we can wake up to a public financial collapse. To a public financial collapse. Public financial collapse. To a public financial collapse. To a public financial collapse of Canada. Paradoxically, listen, the interest has more than doubled due to COVID. Can you believe that? It's true. Check with Tiff Macklin, the Bank of Canada. 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 Remember my Auntie Freeland. So that's what happens now. That's what happens now. It's possible that a black swan event occurs. A black swan event occurs. Starting tomorrow, maybe. Now, Monday, coming days, weeks, months ahead, it's on the horizon. So the DRT theory is the solution, or something very similar. We're going to take all the public and the private debt. My $10,000. Your $10,000. So all the public and the private debt, Canada coast to coast. My $10,000. Your $10,000. My $10,000. Your $10,000. All of it, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the debt, public and private debt. Of course, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take it coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All the public and the private debt. We're gonna take it all coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All the debt, public and the private debt, public and the private debt, all the debt. My $10,000, your $10,000, all the debt, public and private debt, public and private debt, all the debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna take it all, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna take it all. We're gonna take it all of it, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all Canada. And the United States is in a similar financial position, similar financial situation. The United States as well. So there's no choice. There's no way out of this. 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 So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. My debt, your debt, all of it. We're gonna take it all, and all the debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. My 10,000 included, converted into US dollars, US dollars, US dollars, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we're gonna get doing, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars, all the debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars, to US dollars. All the debt converted into US dollar. We're gonna add it with the US dollar. All that debt, because it has to be in my DRT theory. Canada first has to be implemented, but we have to implement it also. Not just Canada, but we have to do it simultaneously, Canada-US. Simultaneously Canada-US, simultaneously Canada-US. So all the debt, public and private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, we're gonna add it with the United States dollars. All that debt is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank, but converted into US dollar. We're gonna create a new currency called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, the UE, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. So the universal exchange unit, gonna go in a circle here and turn in a circle, and then go back, start heading towards my headquarters, because I want to check goes towards the moon. And here we're underneath the Scorpio sign, underneath the Scorpio sign. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, and that debt is gonna be the initial money supply for this new central bank. All that debt is gonna be the initial money supply for the new central bank. All of it, public private debt converted into US dollars. And that's the paradox to the curse of Asperger's. I present on the table the blessing for me, for you, for us. So my $10,000, yours, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the debt, public and private, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the debt added with the US, and with that, that's gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. That's gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. So all the debt, public and private, Canadian debt, public and private debt, including my 10,000, converted to US dollars, added up with the US. Other countries, if they will, to join, but Canada, US first simultaneously. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank, which we're going to call the new currency, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange, we're going to put an interest rate level of 10%. We're going to put an interest rate level of 10%. So that interest level, we're going to put it at 10%. It could be 3.33, 7.18. 4.18, 6.1, 1.56, below 10%. With that money, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective, rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective, mass finance fitness, build, construct those 44 tunnels, construct those 44 tunnels, construct those 44 tunnels, 44 tunnels, 44, the number after 43, before 45, 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war. In case of a thermonuclear war, to incur the continuity of the North American civilizational complex. We're going to build those tunnels, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to construct mass finance tourism, intra-North American tourism, rebuild the infrastructure, build more hydroelectric dams, and finance the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army for security service and defense only, security service and defense only, security service and defense only, Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated Defense Security Service Force, and of course the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League. That's what we gotta get doing, the North American Integrated Dance League, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, So the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange is going to propel us for the collective. We're going to do a lot of collective work as an individual basis in a collective, so that's got to be that rock and roll. The DRT is the only solution. There's no way out of this situation. We're about to witness paradoxically a public financial collapse, a collapse of the public finances of Canada. The interest payments have more than doubled in 3 years due to COVID, yes, but the GDP has not doubled. So we're going to have to cut so many services. You realize that doubling it, that's do the math, 46.5 minus 20.3, that's a differential of more than 25 billion. That's 25,000 million. So you realize how many public services you can finance with that. We're going to cut the RCMP, police. We're going to stop. We're going to have to do the prisons, the correctional facilities. We're going to put them to work across North America. We're going to put them, North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, put them to build those tunnels. And I am now deep in the snow. Just going to check on something here. It's still deep in the snow, but nonetheless, I written a protocol called the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, so gotta get that DRT, So here's the stuff. So we're going to have to implement the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We're going to have to implement the DRT. Again, it's an emergency scenario. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse of Canada. It's no joke. The GDP has only increased by 1%, 2% since 3% max since COVID. Since 2020, 2021, while the interest payments have doubled. Can you imagine the same situation as an individual who's in that situation, the same situation as an individual who's in that situation, the same individual on an individual basis who's in that situation? If it's a certain individual who's in that situation, that means, of course, that the individual has to cut the budget, reduce the spending, that's what has to be reduced, cut the spending, it has to be reduced, the spending has to be reduced, so that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with XYZ, so it's something which we gotta be doing, there's no way out of this but the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, the UE, with that money we're gonna do lots of good. The Universal Exchange, we're going to create lots of good, the Universal Exchange, we're going to create, do a lot of work, rebuild the infrastructure of the collective, rebuild the infrastructure of the collective North American civilization, rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the bridges, the tunnels, mass finance, building those 44 tunnels, mass finance citizens, fitness, recreational activity, all that good stuff, all that good stuff. But we have to, there's no other way out of this. That's the problem. That's the big problem we have, and that's the solution, or part of the solution, or if not, something which resembles my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, which again, it includes, in my DRT theory is included monetary integration theory once again. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So we're gonna have to do and have to implement that, It's something which we have to implement. The DRT theory is an emergency. There's no other way out of where we are now. To do it now, here in the wilderness. We're gonna have to do it for civilization's sake. It's a public financial collapse. It could start tomorrow. It could start tomorrow on the full moon, if not Monday when the full moon ends the cycle. You realize, right? It's just mathematical financial principles. The public debt, the interest on the public debt that we pay has more than doubled. From 20.3 billion to 46.5 billion. You realize what's about to happen, right? We're going to have to reduce, we're going to have to cut the budget. There's no way out of this. There's no solution. But my DRT theory, the debt infusion theory, which has to be implemented ASAP. It's just like a citizen, if the salary doesn't double, if the salary of a citizen doesn't double, while, of course, if the salary doesn't double, but an individual, that's like a skating ring here, I gotta be careful. If the salary of an individual doesn't double, but if the salary doesn't double, but the interest paid doubles, in 3 years he has to reduce, cut Netflix, cut spending money on booze, on liquor, on going out, whatever expenses one has to reduce dramatically. Public finances, what are we going to cut? RCMP. The Mounties, the police, federal police, or the prisons, like I said, it's no joke. It's an emergency. The DRT is the solution. For Canada, US, and the same kind of boat with both the public and the private. Both the public and the private record financial debt. So I'm going here in the dark. I just got to be extra careful because it's a lot of ice. It's like a skating rink, so I gotta bend my knees a little bit. And now we're heading out coasting it up back to my headquarters. Beautiful moon is getting fuller and fuller, so gotta prepare for that holiday with a big cleaning tomorrow, big cleaning meditation, and sending some emails for some business, some jobs. I'm always open for business 24/7, financially stressed, but I'm always open for business, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the XYZ, and that's what it is for the LOV, so that's what it is for the survivors, man, to get it on the survivors, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, so it's something which we gotta be doing on that. Survival here from the mountain, my second home, we gotta paint those planes. Maybe I got some tunnels here around about. Had I spent many past lives, many incarnations, a lot here. I was born on the island even before 15. And between the 1500s when the colonization began, of course, and the Europeans arrived, and I was born many past lives, many incarnations from ancient Egypt. Priestess Hannah now. Priestess Hannah, Adrian Hannah, dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for blessing. Keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for blessing. Otherwise, let it be pestilence. Hope you have an understanding in that sentence. In that sentence, I'm a priestess of Thelema. Papa Crowley's daughter, so that's how we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get doing on the LOVE, so it's on the consequential full moon, special full moon feast, 3-day feast. I'm gonna check if I can afford a wine, the red wine, for goddess, Jodi DSS, created my survival, goddess of many names. I'm a piece of dust, last thing, nonetheless. Can't pronounce the name of the goddess lest I get thundered on, and that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on now, you know. See, look at all those lights. The firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses always gotta send some love to the truckers, to the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know. And seems that there's some people there at the Belvedere Conjurenac, which is my second home right here, headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, which is pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, pledge your allegiance, legions. Our family is the song, and that's my dream for the North American Collective fusion, public-private partnership to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, for the North American Integrated Dance League, and the Dancing Goddess Army for dancing, for the environment, to plant trees, for pleasure. Dancing is my favorite sport, and I love to come dance here at the top. Non-sectarian, Telemite. I'm a mystic. You don't have to have my spiritual beliefs. I don't know it all. I have questions, but I believe in reincarnation, and I credit my surviving to the goddess, and that's all we gotta get doing on that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the LOVE to get it for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved in the production and the distribution of food, and that's how we gotta get loving, you know. So here's the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, and that's how we gotta get on that love. And now I have a way to go until my headquarters, so that's what it is. So I gotta be heading back. I got some chips in the backpack, so I got a little bit of some sweets at home, leftover sweets and chips, and I got a hazelnut cream, small hazelnut cream. First time I purchased that one, it was like $2, so I got that in chips to the victory. There's some rabbits. There's a rabbit very fast, although I saw the rabbit kind of blurred, and that's where we gotta be on the rabbit side. Oh, there's a family of rabbits, like little rabbits there, going east and west and north. I guess that's going south, and that's how we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing on the XYZ. So we gotta get it on that go, you know. So it's sometimes a love to get it on the love here, and I'm gonna check a little bit of that city, and that's how we gotta get it on the do, you know. So it's something which I gotta get it on the go, you know. So you gotta get it on the XYZ. So that's how you always meditate here, so always for some meditation, you know. So something which we gotta get it on the XYZ, you know. So you can get it for the XYZ, and that's what it is here, you know. Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom for the XYZ, for that lovers, butchers, bakers, nurses, and that's what it is with that. And here we are top. That's my favorite skyscraper, and here is the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom headquarters, and that's where some people came to go enjoy a little bit of the good weather there. Now I'm gonna go down, so that's that headquarters, Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, laying the foundations for the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. Right here we need the 7-pointed star flag, and that's what we're gonna get doing, and gonna go down, laying the foundations for the kingdom with 700 trillions of kisses created from the goddess. Kisses I got with that, and that's of course a beautiful skyscrapers. That's the pyramid skyscraper pyramid there. It's like a skyscraper, you know, the pyramid, and here we gotta get on that. Gotta get on those steps, go down and go up, and gotta get on the XYZ to get it on the do. So that's what we gotta get doing on the love, you know. It's about the skyscraper, which I love, that pyramid. That's my favorite skyscrapers, you know. That's what we gotta get doing on those skyscrapers for, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on that skyscrapers, you know. So it's called karma. That's what we gotta get doing on that, you know. So something which we gotta be on the do. Got a little bit of song, rock and roll song as we go, but switch it to that French a little bit, because we're in La Belle Province in a little bit, and then we're gonna hit a little bit of that bilingual rock and roll style. So grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bill is paid, got food and coffee, rent paid, electricity bill is paid, got food and coffee, rent paid, electricity bill is paid, got food and coffee, full moon, special goddess, Jodi DSS, Gotta goddess it as you will it. Gotta goddess it as you kiss it. Gotta goddess it as you will it. As thou will, horse. I'm gonna consecrate. Gonna consecrate, gonna consecrate the whole mountain there. Gonna consecrate the whole mountain. Gonna consecrate the whole mountain. So that's something which we gotta be consecrating on now. And imagine all the 3G, 4G, 5G, how many satellites in a parallel life. I'm a super scientist. In that parallel life, I also have Asperger's, but they're in that parallel life, parallel universe, if you will. I'm a super scientist, also have Asperger's. I'm also neurodivergent as in this one. When in this one, I'm great at dancing and geopolitics and rock and roll, but in that one, I'm great at science, technology, and mathematics, and everything to do with logic and physics. As I go down now from the mountain atop the Belvedere Conjuring, my second home, I know everything about satellites, about smartphones, supercomputers, ICBM rockets, all things with telecommunications, science and mathematics and physics is all I do and know 24/7 in that parallel life. And I built conjoint with other scientists and across several countries. A satellite constellation for defense security service, a satellite constellation, internet integrated satellite constellation for security service and defense, internet satellite constellation for security service and defense. And I know telecommunications, microchips, coding, computers, supercomputers. I build supercomputers, satellites, microchips, all that good jazz in a parallel life. And sometimes I get headaches because I connect with that parallel self, and there's always math, science, technology, the discussion with my parallel self. While with me, he always discusses rock and roll. And my parallel self doesn't like rock and roll too much. He's like, what's that nonsense? He doesn't get it, because just doesn't get it. It's just science, technology, microchips, supercomputers, calculations, logic, science, logic, physics, table of elements, uranium, plutonium, zinc, hydro, air, H, the lightest to the hardest element. The lightest is H, hydrogen, right? Hydrogen is the lightest. So it's like 1, the value of 1. So it's like the sun. We're not going to go into science and technology, but we get headaches from each other. But we've been discussing a lot during COVID. During COVID, we've been conversing a lot, and we keep conversating, and supposedly this weekend is gonna infuse my brain with his knowledge, so I'm probably gonna know all about Google, YouTube, algorithms, kind of like what Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Scorpio brother knows a little bit, and I guess Jeff Bezos, all to do with Mark Zuckerberg, tech, science, computers, internet, science, computers, internet, science, computers, internet, satellite. So that's probably what's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna get a headache, and Monday I'm gonna know a little bit of all that stuff. It's gonna be like a big download, big load. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we're gonna get doing with the LOV. So here we are, descending the mountain on the stairs. It's less slippery now, It used to be very slippery before, but just some branches sometimes fall, so gotta watch for those branches, So we gotta get doing with that. And gotta get for the branches to go. And you see, we got branches there that fall. So they fall from the trees above, They fall from the trees sometimes, so we gotta watch above the heads, and gotta get it for the XYZ, it's for the LOV, and that's what we gotta be mindful of here for other citizens to get it on the circumspection and the. So I just came from the stairs up above, and now I'm going down, and then we're gonna go down to my headquarters on the east, west from here. We're gonna get it on the west from here, and that's where we're gonna go to do it, for the moon. It's gonna consecrate the mountain, consecrate the mountain a little bit for the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. We're gonna depart the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, and that's the headquarters atop the Belvedere, and I'm laying the foundations. First and foremost, I'm laying the foundations of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom with 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses. That's the kisses that I got for the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. That's a lot of kisses, and by those kisses, I laid a foundation for the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. Pledge your allegiance, legions, if you want some, so I can make millions of people kiss millionaires. I can make millions of people kiss millionaires. I can make millions of people kiss millionaires. I can make millions of people kiss millionaires, you know, and some hugs and some kisses. I got the most credit from the goddess, GODDSS, and gotta watch it as I go down now, because there's a little bit of branches, and I want to slip and slide a little bit of that comical for the go, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we gotta get on the knowledge, you know. So something which we gotta get doing for now, you know. So something which we gotta be LOV for the doers, you know. So we gotta go step by step, step by step, step by step, you know, step by step by step, step by step here, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So that's why I do not advise people to go up all the way up, you know, in the forest, because you never know. In the forest. Yeah. One. That's what we gotta get doing, you know, so that's it. I'm gonna go all the way. That's why I do not advise people go deep as I go into all the way deep, you know. If you don't know the way, like where I was just about 44 minutes ago, deep in the forest, you know. There's nobody there, you know. It's a different kind of jungle there. The top, you know, it's just. But again, I guess if you're willing to try to go as I go there, and you're more than I'm more than willing to. I'm more than willing to. I guess you go on your own risk atop in the forest, and as I was there, there's a risk of falling branches and hawks, whatever, wolves, whatever the case may be on the wolves, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So it's something which I revere: the mountain, the forest, nature, but in a reverence which is knowing my insignificance, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, you know. And knowing that I'm a piece of dust, and the trees are so much bigger than me, 7 times bigger than me, 7 times bigger than me. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's why I do not advise people go where I go. You can go on top the Belvedere here, you know, it's best. Top the Belvedere, but don't, unless you know the mountain really well, don't go all the way deep there, you know. I've been coming here for years and years, and it's my second home, you know. It's my mistress, where I come to get cuckolded. She says, mountain rock cock only, clit dick lit, mountain rock cock only, mountain rock cock only. I come clit dick. So that's what we gotta get doing on that, you know. So something which we gotta be mindful of as I go down the stairs now. Grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bill is paid, and I came to my second home my other temple, throne, I guess, throne, but open to all, not just mine, not just mine, it's yours, ours, yours, ours, no yours, whatever the case may be. Here we are. So that's it. Felt good. Always feel good when I go from the mountain and I come here, my second home. I do the consecration on the full moon. I'm gonna probably come back tomorrow night and 3 nights in a row Saturday night because it's the full moon. So special full moon, rare celestial event coming in a few hours. It's not gonna be like that for the next until 2029, some October, November. So get ready for that, French, because you know we in La Belle Province, grateful, thankful. I rent paid, electricity bills paid, and I just ascended and now descending from my second home, the mistress, Mount Royal, the Belvedere, the back, my throne. Throne. The goddess, scarlet goddess, Scorpio blesses, kisses. Atop the mountain there, the Belvedere, headquarters of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. My second home, not just mine, but open to all, willingly loving, pledge your allegiance, legions open to all, willingly loving, pledge your allegiance, legions to our family. Open to all, willingly loving, pledge your allegiance, legions to our family. That is the song, and now we go from the wilderness to the civilization. So being comfortable in those, being comfortable with those both. We gotta get it on the do, so let's go. Rock and roll, we're gonna cut it by that side, I guess, that side best, and we're gonna go all the way and switch it to that French, and this building kind of makes me think of the Grimm's Brother Tales, I guess, because during COVID I looked at a few and other libraries and before COVID, and kind of how the depictions are, and I've written my own children's books, but couldn't pay $500 for the literary agent, $500 for the literary agent, $500 for the literary agent, but still write, still create, still LOV as an artist, and financially stressed, but athlete as well, philosopher, athlete, artist, philosopher, artist, athlete, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist has predicted what's happening now, and who loves that skyscraper. That's my favorite, the pyramid at top, and sometimes that pyramid turns red and green and multicolor sometimes, so I just love, that's my favorite skyscraper there, see? That one, that's my favorite skyscraper that you see there. That's the one. LOVE, see, so beautiful. So see how we came down from the mountain at top, and now we're going back. Now we're going back to my headquarters, and there's Orion. So Orion is there, so that means that Scorpio is there. If Orion's there, Scorpio is in the back of me, and the moon is to my left. And French is coming. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. Support the DRT and the CIT and the Operation Northern Scorpio to be implemented for security, service and defense. To be, of course, done. And, of course, I cannot discuss my total mobile defense theory or total mobile defense system theory or total mobile defense theory. The T, total M. DT, total mobile defense theory. Cannot discuss it overly too much because it's a matter of national security and what have you, so I cannot divulge too much information about it. It has some different levels of complexities and areas and fundamental principles, and I cannot discuss it over much, but as I'm calling for the implementation of Operation Northern Scorpio, creating let's do a census. We have to do a big census, a great census, a common passport, get rid of the border, focus on, best if we focus coast to coast, airports and the airports for security, best if we focus on the ports and the airports for security, best if we focus on the ports and the airports for security, best if we focus on the airports and the ports for security, ports and the airports best, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, ports Let's see. Ports and the airports. Ports and the airports. Ports and the airports. Ports and the airports. Best. Ports and the airports. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. A point of security for security is best. Focusing on the ports and the airports. That's how we gotta get doing it. Implement Operation Northern Scorpio. And I don't know why people do the fentanyl, but it's coming from the ports, and maybe some by proceeding by the airports. But ports and the airports best. We don't need the border. We need the common passport. The Dragon Army, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's how we gotta get doing on that. So that's how we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and you gotta get it on that XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing. So it's XYZ, and we gotta get doing on the LOV, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, all those involved in the production, distribution of food. That's how we gotta get doing on that, and you can see XYZ today, that love, and that's how you gotta get doing, now. There's the scarlet season coming, the full moon's getting bloodied, and the goddess, energies, which I channel a little bit of piece of dust that I am, channel a little bit of energies, not a lot, because the goddess, is the heavens, above, and countless galaxies and systems and stars in the goddess, and then you got the lower goddess, and sends one kiss, and that kiss turned into trillions of kisses, for yours truly, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get on that go, so it's something which we gotta do, to get on that love side. Love is important. I know some are gonna make some good loving tonight. Make love for me, double trouble. Make love for me, double that love for me. And they're gonna switch to that French, because here at Province, we gotta switch it on the sides, as we go. Here in Quebec, we made the great linguistic compromise, and that's how we gotta get doing. We made the great linguistic compromise of the French language, and that's how we gotta get doing, the great linguistic compromise, and we gotta find some joy, and we gotta find some joy on the XYZ, and you gotta find that some joy is important, so it's XYZ, and you gotta get it on that joy, for the circumcisions and visions, and gotta get it on the XYZ, and gotta get it for the lovers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and all those, of course, involved in the production, distribution of food. Send some love to those grocery store clerks, and I don't know about that 51st state. I believe in the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. We do have to get rid of the border. It's no longer efficient for the 21st century, nor serves a purpose anymore. We got to focus on coast to coast, ocean to ocean defense, security as service, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and security and service defense best, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's how we got to get doing with that. And meditating now all the points of entry, the ports. I'm imagining where could the points of entry for the fentanyl be, or others potentially hazardous materials, because we have potential enemies who want to sabotage us, and the sabotage and espionage and sabotage, because we made potential enemies which are nuclear armed and have the capabilities, of course, to espionage, for sabotage the North American Collective, both Canada and the US, the best coast to coast, ocean to ocean Dragon Army for the North American Collective civilizational complex. No need to spy on me. Secret services of Russia, secret services of China, I love my BDSM switch. I got scars all over the body, including my private clit, dick clit, androgynous genitalia, who sometimes go rocket up above heavens. God is blessed, and I literally have scars. It gets itchy, like ants sometimes. So I gotta rock and roll with that. Scratch sometimes, I gotta be careful. I just start scratching sometimes, and I'm androgynous pansexual who loves that BDSM switch. Friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, Dar family. Friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, Dar family. Friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, Dar family. Friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, Dar family, and that's how we gotta get doing, And it's suffered, struggled. Pain, suffer, struggle, depressed, suicidal, memory loss, scars, amnesia, or triggered amnesia, and flashes of trauma and being attacked by prize. I went to the hospital, but here I am, you know, you gotta get on that love. And I always love when I see people hugging, kissing, and working out, training, and hearing good deeds, you know, good deeds. And there's some goodness and kindness that you gotta practice, and art and love, and you know, you gotta get some justice. Sometimes it's not always easy, you know, to have a little bit of justice, but that's how we're trying to do, and trying to get on that justice side, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the LOVE, you know. So that's how we gotta be doing, you know. Gotta be doing on the love, you know. So it's something which we gotta be making and thinking, and gotta be on the love, you know. So something which we have to entertain, and something which we have to do, you know, and something which you have to be loving, you know. Sometimes we gotta be LOVE, you know. Sometimes we gotta be LOVE, sometimes we gotta be LOVE, you know. So it's something which we gotta be doing on that, and something which we gotta be switching to that French, cause we're in la belle province, you know. Gotta be grateful, thankful, and gotta be grateful, thankful for that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing. So we gotta get doing. Let's go. Ready? French, cause we're in la belle province, en français. Parce qu'on est de la belle province. Bienvenue. Je viens de descendre la deuxième montagne, puis l'événement céleste rare. Il va y avoir une éclipse de la lune, pleine lune, une éclipse qui n'aura pas jusqu'en 2029, 15 mai dans 5 ans. 5 ans, peut-être 5 ans, je pense octobre 2029. On est le 13 mars 2025, on est le 13 mars 2025. La pleine lune s'en vient vers 3 heures du matin, fait que la lune elle devient de plus en plus pleine, puis pendant un couple d'heures, il va y avoir une éclipse. Ça commence tard, entre 11h57 et 3 heures du matin, il va y avoir comme une éclipse, puis c'est un événement céleste rare. Fait que je vais essayer de voir, parce que là, c'est quand même clair, puis je regarde les constellations. Orion est là. Ça veut dire que le Scorpion est de l'autre bord, parce que c'est toujours opposé. Fait que quand je place Orion, tu sais, la constellation avec les 7 étoiles, les 7, le chiffre après 6 avant 8, c'est 7 étoiles, je vais voir le Scorpion. Donc comme ça, je me place un peu dans le ciel. Je navigue le céleste. Puis aujourd'hui, c'est un événement rare, donc j'ai hâte de voir ça. Mais je commence avec la gratitude. J'ai payé mon loyer. J'ai payé ma facture d'électricité. J'ai de quoi? J'ai des chips, des croustilles qu'on appelle. Des croustilles pour manger après minuit. Pour avoir célébré, je vais faire un minimum de 4 heures de marche. Entraînement danse, votre artiste, athlète, philosophe, analyste théoricien en géopolitique avec l'Asperger's, autisme fonctionnel, puis monsieur, madame, androgyne, pansexuel, qui vous chante du rock'n'roll le 24/24 pour les fermiers, les boulangers, les pompiers, les administrateurs publics, et tous ceux qui font le ramassage des poubelles, du compostage. Merci pour l'avoir passé prendre le compostage tantôt chez nous. Il faut penser à ces services-là, parce que bien sûr, l'Hydro-Québec aussi, l'Hydro-Québec, la civilisation, c'est un privilège. Hein, pour tout avoir l'électricité, pour tout avoir qu'est-ce qu'on a, c'est un gros privilège. Puis là, c'est sûr que c'est des temps difficiles depuis quand même une couple d'années. Puis moi, je célèbre aujourd'hui. Hein, je fais une célébration avec même si je vis une crise financière, je suis en stress financier. Financièrement, ça va pas bien, comme on dit en bon québécois, mais d'une autre manière, ça va, tu sais. Je suis quand même joyeux, content, de bonne humeur. Je filais pas 100% tantôt quand je suis parti, mais là, ça va. Je suis allé à ma deuxième maison de Mont-Royal. J'ai les chips, j'ai hâte de manger un peu. Je commence à avoir un peu faim, mais je pense aux camionneurs, aux infirmières, aussi les boulangers dans les boulangeries, ceux qui ont changé des couches dans les garderies. Les pompiers aussi, amour aux pompiers. Je vais penser aux autres aussi, parce que c'est Collectif de Civilisation, tu sais. Maintenant qu'on est rendu avec la guerre commerciale qui vient de commencer, c'est quand même un petit cauchemar. Moi, je sais pas. Je suis pas un partisan de Trump. J'aurais voté Kamala Harris ou j'aurais voté Joe Biden, mais bien sûr, je suis pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis dans un contexte géopolitique. Parallèlement à l'Union européenne, j'ai ma théorie que je veux voir implémenter, mais la trinité de théories, bien sûr. La théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette avec la théorie de la fusion démocratique. C'est des choses que je veux voir faire l'implémentation, bien sûr, dans ce contexte où on est rendu aujourd'hui avec la guerre de tarifs qui, ça va de pire en pire. On dirait à chaque jour ça s'empire. Puis on voit que la bourse, les marchés boursiers sont dans le rouge cette semaine. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement demain. La pleine lune, c'est possible demain on voit moins 1500, moins 2000 même. Imaginez-vous, vendredi c'était moins 2000. Demain, ça a été dans le rouge au jour. Ça a été un début d'un effondrement du marché de la bourse. La bourse, un effondrement de la bourse, c'est possible. Moi, je tiens toujours en ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, que j'en parle assez souvent, bien sûr, je l'explique. Je parle, puis je sais, puis je suis convaincu que c'est la solution, quelque chose de similaire, quelque chose de parallèle qui ressemble à ma théorie de la refusion de la dette, vue vis-à-vis qu'on est rendu l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. On a payé 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards, 1 milliard, c'est à 9,0. Ça, c'est 46 000 millions. Fait que ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quand même, ça sort la... J'ai souffert beaucoup à cause de la supergirl, l'autisme moment fonctionnel avec l'emploi. J'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai bien aimé, mais bon, à cause de cette condition de neurodivergence, ça fait que beaucoup de gens, ils ne savent pas c'est quoi. Fait qu'il y a toujours une confusion, il y a toujours une équation entre l'Asperger, le moment fonctionnel, puis la maladie mentale. C'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau est différent. Les autistes totalement fonctionnels, les Aspergers, notre cerveau il est fait différemment. Fait qu'il y a bien des choses qu'on comprend pas, tu sais, qu'on comprend pas dans la société, dans le social, comment qu'on fait notre vie au quotidien, tu sais. Fait que notre vie au quotidien, ça se passe autour de nos intérêts spéciaux. Nos intérêts spéciaux. Puis pour moi-même, c'est ma sainte trinité d'intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme intérêts spéciaux. Bien sûr, intérêt obsessif. Mais je n'utilise pas obsessif. C'est plutôt négatif à dire obsessif, mais c'est des intérêts spéciaux. Fait que je passe des heures, bien des heures par jour à faire des analyses en géopolitique, par exemple. Puis bien sûr, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique qui a prévu la situation qui se passe maintenant en 2019, en octobre, en novembre. En célébrant 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID. La COVID, quand je l'ai eue en 2020, entre le 7 février 2020 et le 25-26 mars 2020, fait que ça fait 5 ans. J'étais vraiment malade, je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre, je pensais que j'allais mourir. J'ai survécu, je dis, wow, j'ai survécu ça. Puis je pensais vraiment que j'allais mourir. Je dis, that's it, c'est mon dernier chapitre, là. J'en finis avec ça, puis je meurs, tu sais. That's it, je meurs, puis c'est fini, c'est mon... Puis j'ai survécu. Je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, par exemple. J'ai continué, j'ai pris 3 vaccins. Fait que je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois. Puis je garde quand même, tu sais, les protocoles d'hygiène publique, tu sais, se laver les mains, puis à cause des microbes, des bactéries, tu sais. Les bactéries puis les microbes, il y en a quand même partout, là, aussi. Puis là, il y a une révision de la CIA qui dit que c'est plus probable que la COVID a été causée dans un laboratoire. La création, ça a été créé dans un laboratoire. La COVID, la CIA des États-Unis, le service d'intelligence, là, ils ont sorti de nouveaux documents, il y a 2-3 semaines. Puis moi, je sais pas ça. Moi, je pense que c'est les serpents. J'ai la sainte trinité de... Qu'est-ce que moi, je pense, l'origine de la COVID, qu'est-ce qui a causé la COVID, l'origine. Moi, j'ai ma sainte trinité sur la COVID. Premièrement, je pense que c'est les serpents. Tu sais, les serpents, là, les serpents qui l'ont transmis à l'être humain. Deuxièmement, je peux pas dire à 100%, j'ai un doute. Fait que troisièmement, si j'ai un doute, je pense que c'est les serpents, mais j'ai un doute. Je peux pas nier ou dire non, que je ferme les portes sur une autre possibilité. Mais la 4e dimension à cette trinité de pensée sur la COVID, c'est qu'est-ce que je sais à 100%? Qu'est-ce que je sais à 100%, à 100%? À 100%, c'est qu'avant la COVID, en octobre, en novembre, j'ai prévu une conflagration internationale parce que je suis un analyste et théoricien géopolitique indépendant, j'ai prévu qu'il y aura comme une troisième guerre mondiale. J'ai créé mon propre système, j'ai la preuve parce que je travaille de ça, j'ai fait en ligne. Puis bien sûr, parce que j'ai fait la création de mon propre système d'entraînement physique qui ne requiert aucun équipement, puis qui est fait bien sûr pour y aller avec cette situation de troisième guerre mondiale. Cette situation de conflagration internationale. Fait que c'est ça que je pense de la COVID. Mais qu'est-ce que je sais, c'est que je garde le désinfectant, le gel antibactérien, puis j'utilise pour les mains parce qu'il y a des germes, des microbes et des bactéries. Puis là, la COVID avec les armements, parce qu'on a donné de l'armement, du soutien militaire, pas seulement humanitaire, à certains pays en conflit. Fait qu'on s'est fait potentiellement des ennemis qu'on n'avait pas auparavant. Fait que le monde en géopolitique, ça a quand même changé. Hein? Ça a changé avec l'Ukraine, le conflit au Moyen-Orient, puis bien sûr avec le Taïwan puis la Chine, avec le Taïwan puis la Chine, avec le Taïwan puis la Chine, avec le Taïwan puis la Chine. C'est quelque chose, bien sûr, que ça a changé. Hein? Ça a tout changé, la géopolitique. Puis moi, je suis Québécois, Canadien, Nord-Américain. Fait que puis en étant citoyen du monde aussi, mais en tant qu'analyste théoricien en géopolitique, en souhaitant la paix du monde, j'avais quand même prévu une troisième guerre mondiale. C'est quand même un paradoxe, parce que j'avais dit qu'il y a bien des conflits qui vont reprendre, car il y a bien des conflits qui n'ont pas été capables d'avoir de résolution pacifique du 20e siècle. Parce que ces conflits-là, ils datent du 20e siècle, là. L'Ukraine puis la Russie, c'est des conflits qui datent de la guerre froide, puis Israël, Palestine aussi, puis potentiellement sur l'horizon, mais la Chine puis le Taïwan, c'est un autre conflit qui dure, ça fait des décennies. Puis ici, je dis souvent, mais on a fait le grand compromis linguistique, on a fait le grand compromis du français, on a fait quand même un gros travail pour avoir la continuité de la paix puis l'harmonie, hein, dans l'Amérique du Nord. L'Amérique du Nord, du français, on est quand même, même incluant moi-même, plus que 9 millions de Québécois quand même, qu'on parle le français, puis avec nos frères et sœurs noirs, 13,3, 13,4% de la population sont noirs aussi, tu sais, nos frères et sœurs noirs, mes voisins, incluant mes voisins, sont noirs, fait que, tu sais, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse, qu'on continue à faire, puis on est un collectif émergent. En tant que philosophe, j'ai ma propre, c'est pas une théorie, parce que moi j'y crois, cette théorie, en étant que c'est quand même vrai, on est un collectif de civilisation émergent, un collectif civilisationnel qui est émergent. On n'est pas tout à fait divorcé, mais on a des distinctions avec l'Occident. C'est ça qu'il faut retenir de cette théorie, bien sûr. On a des distinctions. On n'est pas divorcé, mais on a des distinctions avec la civilisation occidentale. Puis on est un collectif émergent. Puis pour ça, je dis, on n'a pas besoin de la frontière pour la sécurité, pour le service, pour le fentanyl. Il faut qu'on se dirige, qu'on centre sur les ports et les aéroports. Les ports et les aéroports, sur les ports et les aéroports. La frontière, on n'a pas besoin. Il faut qu'on fasse un passeport commun. Il faut qu'on fasse un passeport commun. Il faut qu'on fasse un passeport commun. Je ne sais pas pour le 51e État, c'est une invitation, mais il faut nous inviter même comme il le faut, pas avec des tarifs puis pas avec du bullying. Il faut qu'ils disent, ah, j'ai fait une erreur, puis il faut qu'ils disent, ben, je vais faire la fête si vous venez nous rejoindre en tant que 50e État, puis je vais mettre sur la table des invitations, puis je vais financer que les Québécois puis les Canadiens Québécois, que tous les Canadiens ensemble, ils visitent les 50 États. C'est de cette manière qu'il faut nous inviter, que je dis, avec de la chanson, la nourriture, la fête, des bonnes choses, puis inviter à faire à donner des billets pour le tourisme, à financer bien sûr quelque chose comme qui finance quelque chose du genre du financement du tourisme. Les Canadiens, ils veulent visiter les 50 États de cette manière. Il faut nous proposer pour le mariage du 50e État. Puis c'est sûr qu'il est quand même, je suis pas un partisan de Trump, mais il dit quand même des belles paroles, que ça va être le plus gros, le plus grand, le meilleur État en tant qu'État. T'sais. On peut juste se renforcer quand même. T'sais. On peut juste se renforcer quand même. Mais, qu'est-ce que je sais? C'est mon rêve, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé, qui est la meilleure solution de l'avant pour le 20e siècle, qu'on fasse une union parallèlement à l'Union européenne. Puis bien sûr que, tu sais, dans un contexte de géopolitique, c'est sûr que quand je dis, ben le roi est absent, le roi est absent, on n'a pas besoin du roi pour tout ça. Hein? Le roi est absent, il ne viendra pas nous défendre dans une invasion, ça va être des gens, des citoyens comme moi-même. Puis moi, je suis juste pour la défense, il faut comprendre ça. Je suis juste pour la défense, juste et seulement pour la défense. Pour la défense. Défense, sécurité puis service. j'aime pas la violence, je suis quelqu'un qui aime pas la violence, je n'aime pas la violence, mais je suis quand même intense avec l'Asperger, je sais que je suis intense, puis des fois je suis super concentré, puis je peux paraître un peu, tu sais, de l'agression et tout ça, mais l'entraînement physique, c'est une solution si on a de l'agression, parce que la violence, j'aime pas ça. J'aime pas ça la violence, l'agression, mais il faut faire du sport. C'est pour ça qu'on a du sport, pour ça qu'on fait de la boxe, des sports comme ça, là, des arts martiaux, tout ça. C'est pour ça qu'on a ces choses-là. Là, puis ça sert à quelque chose. T'sais. Bon. Là, je vais discuter la TRD, puis encore une fois, la gratitude. Mon loyer est payé, ma facture est payée, puis j'ai des croustilles dans le sac. J'ai hâte de manger 5 minutes, je commence à avoir faim un peu. Fait que on va faire une petite fête. Demain, je nettoie, puis je suis ouvert pour les affaires, 24 sur 24. Je fais mon travail, puis la TRD maintenant, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut que je dise que, même si ça sort de la malédiction de l'Asperger, l'autisme monofonctionnel, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD. Parce que pourquoi je me prononce de même, c'est dû au fait que, bien sûr, on est rendu l'année passée à payer 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. 1 milliard 109 zéro. 1 milliard 109 zéro. Imaginez-vous, 1 milliard 109 zéro. Tu sais. Fait que l'année passée, on a payé sur la dette publique 46,5 milliards. Tu sais. Fait que ça, c'est bon, ça, c'est bon, ça, c'est bon. Ça, c'est... Fait qu'il y a la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, et ça fasse bien sûr dans cette affaire la TRD, qu'il faut qu'on fasse la solution, la TRD pour en faire bien sûr la théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire cette solution de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse bien sûr dans la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut qu'on fasse la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, car on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. Un chiffre énorme si vous pensez, vous, là. En 2020-2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards, 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards fois 2, c'est 40,6. C'est 40,6 milliards. C'est 40,6 milliards. 40,6 milliards. Imaginez-vous ça. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6 milliards. Ça, c'est 46,5 milliards qu'on a payé l'année passée. Fait que c'est plus que double. Plus que double. Imaginez-vous, là, c'est plus que double. Fait que 1 milliard 109 zéro. 1 milliard 109 zéro. Fait que dans ce contexte, c'est tellement énorme qu'on chiffre, là. 46,5 milliards, c'est 46 000 milliards. Juste l'intérêt sur la dette publique. Juste l'intérêt sur la dette publique. Juste l'intérêt sur la dette publique. Juste l'intérêt sur la dette publique qu'on a payé. C'est un chiffre énorme, bien sûr. C'est un chiffre... Imaginez-vous, là. C'est tellement un chiffre énorme, c'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, c'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, c'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID, bien sûr, c'est ce montant-là qu'on a payé de dette, 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards. Ça, c'est un chiffre énorme, tu sais. Ça, c'est un chiffre énorme. Donc, il n'y a pas de solution aujourd'hui que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Parce que, ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie. Encore une fois, vous pouvez vous obstiner tant que vous voudrez, mais je vous ai donné les chiffres, vous pouvez les vérifier avec Tiff Macklin, le gouverneur de la Banque du Canada, Fait qu'on fasse, bien sûr, pour qu'on fasse aujourd'hui, bien sûr, c'est la solution. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution dans cette... Maintenant qu'on est rendu, tu sais, à payer 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. C'est des milliards, c'est à 9 zéros. Imaginez-vous, c'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement des finances publiques. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement des finances publiques. Un effondrement des finances publiques, tu sais. Un effondrement des finances publiques. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement là, des finances publiques du Canada, C'est possible, bien sûr, qu'il y ait Un effondrement. Ben, imaginez-vous que ça a plus que doublé, c'est sûr qu'à cause de la COVID. Juste l'intérêt, là, ça a sauté en 3 ans, de 2020 à 2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. 20,3 milliards double, c'est 40,6. Fait que c'était rendu 46,5 milliards. Imaginez, faites un calcul, bien sûr. Faites un calcul, bien sûr, en tant qu'individu, bien sûr. Si l'intérêt double, que vous payez, mettons, de 156 à 333, de 156 à 333, de 156 à 333. Ça, c'est plus que double, là. De 156, double, c'est 312. Fait que de 156, quelqu'un qui paye, mettons, citoyenne, si l'intérêt qui elle, lui, l'un des autres qui paye, de 156 à 333, ça veut dire que, bien sûr que ça veut dire que il faut qu'elle, lui, le citoyen, ça coupe dans le budget. Il faut qu'elle arrête les dépenses, il faut qu'elle arrête de boire, peut-être arrête de fumer la cigarette, arrêter de sortir dehors, arrêter de sortir, aller voir des films, aller au restaurant, acheter du pot, du cannabis légal, c'est légal au Canada, fait que c'est des choses comme ça. Fait que c'est ça. C'est ça qui se passe. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. C'est pour ça, il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez, mais il n'y a pas d'autre solution. En ce moment, en tout cas, en ce moment, il n'y a pas d'autre solution. C'est juste ça. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. Où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, on n'a pas de solution que la TRD. C'est pour ça que je vous l'explique un peu. Je vais juste donner une petite seconde. Je vais juste mettre mon autre manteau ainsi parce que commence à faire fret un peu. Donc on va mettre l'autre manteau aussi. On va mettre l'autre manteau aussi. On va le mettre dessus. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça. On y va. Je vais le mettre sur le dos. Je le vends pour 1 million pour donner la ça à mon ami anonyme. Puis là, on traverse, on tourne la tête, de gauche à droite. Bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse, tu sais. C'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse ensemble. Ben, on va faire pour l'enfer, la TRD. Pour l'enfer, bien sûr, la TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. 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 Justin Bieber. juste attendre un peu parce que il y a quand même du bruit, fait que je voulais être dans une place, bien sûr que ça l'a fait dans une place ici. Parce que c'est important, je le discute bien sûr qu'il n'y ait pas de bruit parce que c'est super important, bien sûr. C'est une théorie qui va nous sauver, bien sûr, où qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, dans les finances. Dans les finances. Fait qu'imaginez-vous là, qu'un citoyen, l'intérêt pour que le citoyen paye, ça sort de 156 à 333, 156 à 333. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, qu'il me faut. Fait que de 156 à 333, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse. You know? Il faut qu'on coupe dans le budget parce que, bien sûr, la moyenne des salaires, ça a augmenté de seulement 4,4. 4,4, augmentation des salaires. Ça a augmenté de 4,4, 4,4. Ça, c'était juste, qu'est-ce que c'est? En 5 ans, là moyenne, 4,4. Vous imaginez-vous ça? 4,4, c'est des choses. On n'a pas le choix. L'implémentation de ma TRD, l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut qu'on fasse cette solution, bien sûr. La TRD, on n'a pas le choix. Où qu'on est rendu maintenant, tu sais. À payer, bien sûr, toutes sortes d'intérêts, bien sûr, qu'on paye dans la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse pour en faire. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, faut qu'on fasse ça. La TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc, on est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette. Fait que c'est un chiffre énorme. Ce chiffre-là, c'est 46 000 millions, juste l'intérêt. Ça a plus que doublé en 3 ans depuis la COVID. Puis c'est la COVID, en grosse partie, qui a causé cette croissance, augmentation énorme. Fait qu'on ne peut pas soutenir ça. On est proche d'un effondrement. On est proche d'avoir un effondrement financier public. Que les finances publiques du Canada s'effondrent. Que ce qu'on appelle en anglais un Black Swan event. Fait que ces choses, ces possibilités-là, c'est sûr qu'ils peuvent se produire. Ça peut commencer demain. Parallèlement avec un effondrement de la bourse. Parce que c'est sûr qu'il va falloir qu'on coupe dans le budget parce que l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé. Là. Ça a juste augmenté peut-être de combien? 2%, 1%. C'est une augmentation, c'est pas double, mais l'intérêt payé qu'on paye sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé l'intérêt qu'on paye sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé l'intérêt payé sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé l'intérêt qu'on a payé déjà sur la dette publique l'année passée, ça a plus que double. Fait que c'est ça le problème, vous voyez. C'est ça le problème de ce compte-là. C'est ça le problème. C'est ça le problème dans ce point-là. C'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Fait qu'il faut faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire, bien sûr, dans ce financement propre. Fait que la TRD, je vous l'explique maintenant, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire, bien sûr, de cette augmentation du salaire, bien sûr. Pas de salaire, mais bien sûr, pour sortir d'où qu'on est rendu avec les finances publiques. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire, bien sûr, dans ce point de vue, où qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, dans ce point de vue ici, la TRD, Pour en faire bien sûr la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, bien sûr, pour en faire. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut faire, bien sûr, pour en faire, bien sûr, dans cette théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse, bien sûr, dans cette révision, tu sais. Fait que on est rendu à payer 46, la lune est belle. 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards, 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. Fait que dans ce point de vue, c'est sûr que c'est un chiffre énorme, tu sais. C'est sûr que c'est un chiffre énorme, tu sais. Sur l'horizon, il y a un effondrement possible. Demain, c'est possible que ça commence. Parce que, comme dans les finances privées, un citoyen qui a la dette, l'intérêt qu'il fait sur la dette, ça saute. Moi, j'ai pas de carte de crédit personnellement, mais avec la carte de crédit, j'en ai pas, bien sûr, mais j'ai une ligne de crédit, bien sûr, pour en faire la ligne de crédit. Fait que moi, j'en paye moins que 11%. Mais imaginez, ça saute de 156 à 333. Si ça saute de 156 à 333, si ça saute de 156 à 333, le citoyen doit couper, qui coupe dans le budget. Parfois qu'il arrête de boire, qu'il arrête de fumer la cigarette, qu'il arrête de quoi que ce soit. Là. Comme dépense, tu sais. Il faut qu'il réduise parce que sinon ça va en faillite. C'est le même principe avec le public. L'intérêt qu'on a payé, ça a plus que doublé. Là. 20,3, c'est milliards, c'était 20 000 millions. C'était rendu 20,3 x 2, c'est 40,6. L'année passée, c'était 46,5, fait que c'était plus que double. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution que ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc, je vous l'explique. Ma TRD, ça contient TRD de la refusion de la dette. Ça, c'est intégré aussi en dedans d'elle, la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Ce qui est la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation en Europe dans les années 90. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, tu sais. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr, toute la dette publique-privée, on va la prendre ensemble. Toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, ton 10 000, quoi que ce soit, 10 000, de côte à côte. Toute la dette publique-privée, de côte à côte. Toute la dette publique-privée, de côte à côte. On va prendre ensemble, on va faire la refusion. Toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, quoi que ce soit. Toute cette dette-là, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, simultanément avec les États-Unis, ensemble, Canada, États-Unis. Donc, dans cette dette, dans ce point de vue financier, on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, ton 10 000, de côte à côte, de séance. Toute la dette-là, on va ramasser puis on va faire une addition ensemble. Ça va être un gros montant en temps de chiffre. Il va savoir un gros montant. Cet argent-là, addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis, parce que les États-Unis, parallèlement, c'est la même situation que le Canada, quand même très semblable. C'est une situation financière très semblable du point de vue public ainsi que privé. Moi-même, j'ai une dette de 10 000. Bien déjà, c'est des records. Hein? L'année passée, là, en février, on dit que c'est des records. Canada, États-Unis, on a en février eu des reportages des dettes en record. Puis le montant d'intérêt, c'est un record qu'on paye aussi les citoyens. C'est moi-même, sur le 10 000, j'ai pas de carte de crédit. Moi-même, c'est une ligne de crédit qu'on appelle credit line en anglais. Une ligne de crédit à la Banque royale du Canada, moi-même, de 10 000. 10 000 je suis en dette. De 10 000, je suis en dette de 10 000. Donc, on va prendre ma dette, ta dette, toute la dette, convertie ensemble. tout ça, fait l'addition avec la dette publique des États-Unis, ça va être l'argent initial pour une nouvelle banque. C'est l'argent en circulation initiale pour une nouvelle banque. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, bien sûr, basée sur la valeur du dollar des États-Unis, UI. U point unité, A point échange, U point universel. U point unité, A point échange, U point universel. U point unité, A point échange, U point universel. J'ai fait en haut du scorpion, fait que c'est un bon signe. Scorpion, le signe du scorpion. Fait que l'unité d'échange universel, on ne s'abstiendra pas. En anglais, c'est pareil, UI. U point, U point, unité d'échange universel. UI, U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. On va pas pouvoir avoir plus d'intérêt de 10% après ça. Vous savez, comme un nouveau financier pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. On va bien sûr, avec cet argent-là, ça peut être en bas de 10, pas plus. 10 maximum d'intérêt après ça. Ça peut être 3.33, 7.18, 6.1, 9.3, 4.8, etc. En bas de 10, 10% d'intérêt maximum après ça. Avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain de l'Amérique du Nord. On va financer les gens à faire de l'entraînement physique. On va financer les gens à faire de l'entraînement physique. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure. L'Amérique du Nord, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer le tourisme des citoyens de l'Amérique du Nord parce que ça fait du bien pour le moral, On va financer le tourisme. Le tourisme, bien sûr, on va faire le financement du tourisme en Amérique du Nord parce que moi, quand j'ai traversé le Canada, de côte à côte en 2017, c'est là que je suis sorti de ma dépression. J'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire. Puis en dépression, puis en traversant le Canada, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide, avec le Québec et le Canada. J'ai fondé cet esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, le Canada, puis les États-Unis, bien sûr. Nos frères et sœurs des États-Unis, on est nord-américains quand même, t'sais. C'est nos frères et sœurs, puis du point de vue géopolitique, puis la culture, puis notre avenir commun, parce qu'on est un nouveau collectif émergent, il faut qu'on travaille ensemble sans ce point de vue, puis bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ces choses d'estimation. On va prendre toute cette dette-là, ça va être l'argent en circulation. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure, bâtir d'autres centrales d'Hydro-Québec, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens en entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme. Puis il faut qu'on commence à construire 44 de chiffres après 43 avant 45, c'est 44. On va commencer à bâtir 44 tunnels inspirés par le siège social de notre alliance militaire avec les États-Unis, la NORAD, à Cheyenne, les montagnes Cheyenne. Cheyenne Mountain, on appelle les montagnes Cheyenne. Et bien sûr, les montagnes Cheyenne, puis dans ces 44 tunnels, on va mettre la nourriture et des choses comme ça. On va les bâtir dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, pour la continuité, la survie du collectif nord-américain dans le cas d'une guerre nucléaire. Fait que dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, parce que c'est possible, parce que vous voyez la Chine, bien, ils ont augmenté depuis 2020, février 2020 jusqu'à maintenant, il paraît qu'ils ont augmenté de plus que 20%, plus que 25%, peut-être même plus qu'un tiers. Ils sont allés comme de 420, 450 armes nucléaires, bombes nucléaires à 600 en 5 ans seulement. Pourquoi qu'ils ont augmenté, ils ont fait une production massive des armes nucléaires en 5 ans? On se demande, tu sais, ça leur a pris 44 ans et plus pour bâtir tout l'armement qu'ils ont bâti, puis là, ils ont bâti tout d'un coup en 5 ans. Qu'est-ce que, tu sais, tellement de... C'est ça, on se pose la question, ben c'est-tu parce qu'ils se sont préparés, tu sais, pour un conflit militaire avec le Taïwan, puis potentiellement avec d'autres pays, tu sais, fait que... pourquoi ils ont augmenté tellement, tu sais, c'est pas juste 5, 10, 20, là, c'est plus que 150, là. Hey, ça a sauté de comme 450 à 600, tu sais, qui ont dit, puis on va dire des choses, un méga complexe militaire, hein. Il paraît que quasiment 11 fois plus que le Pentagone en ces 5 dernières années. Tu sais, on se demande, il y a un réarmement. Il y a un réarmement. On se dirige vers ce que j'avais prévu, puis ça fait un bout. Ça fait plus que 44 mois, là, plus comme 45 mois qu'on se dirige vers ça, depuis que je l'avais prévu en 2019. On va se diriger vers une 3e guerre mondiale. Fait il faut faire la TRD, il faut implémenter ma TRD. théorie de la refusion de la dette pour la création de l'unité d'échange universel, quelque chose de semblable. On n'a pas le choix de faire ça. On n'a pas le choix de faire ça, la TRD. On n'a pas le choix de faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, on n'a pas le choix. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans ce but de conséquences pour avoir la TRD. Il faut faire l'implémentation de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour en faire en conséquence la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Donc c'est ça, that's all. Puis c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse, bien sûr, dans cette nouvelle situation dure, difficile. Avec la guerre des tarifs, c'est quand même... il faut dire non, il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement nord-américain de ceux qui faire un recensement, voir la population, ceux qui habitent en Amérique du Nord, Canada, États-Unis, de partenariat public-privé. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de ma TRD pour la création de l'unité d'échange universelle, un passeport commun. Faisons un passeport commun, une unité d'échange commune, lui, un passeport commun, puis la défense, il faut qu'on enlève la frontière, puis il faut qu'on se dirige, qu'on sente sur les ports et les aéroports, puis qu'on fasse un grand recensement Canada, États-Unis, voir qui habite ici depuis 5 ans, mettons février 2020, juste avant la COVID, depuis que la COVID a commencé, ou 2017, 5 ans et plus, 7 ans et plus, puis voir ceux qui travaillent dans d'autres pays, vivent là plus que 6 mois, à part que ça soit pour comme des années militaires, ou l'armée des bases militaires, États-Unis, Canada, des choses comme ça, mais il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement nord-américain. Il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement nord-américain. Un grand recensement nord-américain. Il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement financier économique, puis il faut qu'on peut-être voir pendant un petit bout, quand on fusionne avec les États-Unis, nos frères et sœurs des États-Unis, peut-être fermer juste pendant un couple de semaines, un couple de mois peut-être. Pas plus que 2-3 mois, là, fermer peut-être de côte à côte là, pour faire le recensement, puis fermer pendant un petit bout, peut-être le collectif nord-américain de côte à côte. Juste temporaire, là. Juste temporaire, tu sais. Juste temporaire. Juste temporaire. Temporaire, tu sais. Juste temporaire, tu sais. Dans ce point de vue ici, dans ce point de vue ici. Juste temporaire. Dans ce point de vue qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, tu sais. Il faut faire ce grand recensement, on n'a pas le choix, c'est mieux. Il faut qu'on le fasse le plus tôt possible par un partenariat public. On est rendu à ce point ici, puis on ne sait pas, on s'est fait des ennemis puissants, là, puis peut-être des bombes, des armes bactériologiques. Peut-être la COVID, c'était ça, puis on ne sait pas, hein, peut-être. Et c'est peut-être savoir plus que qu'est-ce que ça a causé. Peut-être l'intention, comme que la CIA, le service de sécurité et d'intelligence, ils ont dit que c'était fait dans un laboratoire, plus de chances c'était fait dans un laboratoire. Puis peut-être c'était ça l'intention, c'était peut-être que ça soit plus dommage que ça, tu sais. On ne sait pas, tu sais. On ne sait pas ce que... Qu'est-ce que je sais, c'est que j'avais prévu la station Acte en 2019. Puis il faut qu'on fasse un grand recensement de tout ce qu'on produit dans le collectif nord-américain. Il faut qu'on se fusionne avec les États-Unis de cette manière pour la sécurité et la défense, puis fonder les deux institutions complémentaires, l'armée du dragon, du dragon qui danse, et bien sûr l'armée du dragon qui danse, puis bien sûr pour l'armée du dragon pour la sécurité, pour le service, pour la défense, et puis l'armée de la déesse qui danse, pour la sécurité de l'environnement, pour la sécurité, pour la plantation, bien sûr pour la sécurité, pour la plantation des arbres, pour le plaisir, puis pour l'environnement. L'armée de la déesse qui danse, la ligue de danse nord-américaine Integree, puis l'armée du dragon pour la sécurité, pour le service, pour la défense, de partenariat public-privé, c'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse. C'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, il faut qu'on continue à faire ici dans cette vie qu'on a. Puis c'est urgent quand même, c'est une situation d'urgence, hein, avec la dette qui est publique, là, l'intérêt qu'on paye sur la dette publique, il faut faire l'implémentation de cette théorie parce que c'est urgent. Fait que, that's all pour aujourd'hui, I guess. So.